Hello, welcome to today's episode of What Shall We Do with Our Life? I'm not a life coach, I am not a teacher, a lecturer, anything of that sort, but I am a certified earth walker. What does that mean, you may ask? An earth walker is someone who basically walks the earth. Yes, I exist. I live, I learn, I talk, which can sometimes be teaching. And if you're here, it means you are pretty interested in learning something new or just making a change in your life. And you just want to live life as peaceful as you possibly can. So, welcome. I'm here to guide you on that journey today. Now, for the people who have been following my channel before, you would know my name is Avi, right? But my social media handle is Avi Lara. Now, of course, this is my original name. However, as being a certified earthwalker, I took it on my own to create a new name for myself, which is the combination of AV and, just to make it a little understanding for you, Ilara. You guys can go do a little bit of research on what the name Ilara means. It has, one of the things has to do with Jupiter. I was also born under Jupiter, which is Sagittarius, my baby. So I have taken the initiative to really and truly give myself a name that carries the energy of when I was born, what star, what system I was born under. So I personally feel like this has given me a lot more power in terms of self-acceptance, knowing myself, and just loving myself for the whole entirety of who I am. And this was one of the very first things that I had to do on my journey to becoming a certified earth walker, right? No, I know it might be like, oh, okay, that's so simple. Like, all right, so I just need to create a name for myself and then things are going to change. Listen, the naming process was not easy. I assure you it was not easy. I sat for hours and days and I asked myself, okay, who are you? Who do you want to be? What do you feel like calls closely to you? And when I really got into it, I felt drawn to the Greek mythology characters, Zeus, Hera, sorry, oh my god, I have a horrible handwriting, Hera, and Elara. So if you guys don't know who Elara is, she actually made a baby for Zeus who was a giant. Yeah, her son was a giant. He actually split the earth in two like a booty. And really and truly, the symbolism behind the name Elara, she is basically the epitome of the person who births greatness, right? She gives birth to greatness. For somebody to have such a seed planted and to give life to something that could split the earth in half, which we obviously know didn't really happen, it's just a powerful thing. And this is exactly why I felt like Jupiter, the whole storyline behind Elara, she was hidden for a little while. Zeus had to hide her from his lovely wife, Hera, who is the queen of the gods, who would have obviously killed her. I read on one of the stories, I think this is Chaos on Netflix, go look at it. Elara is not there. I'm having so much fun writing on the board because I love this. Elara is not there, but Chaos really gives you a little insight on the Zeus and Hera story, and Elara's son. Apparently, Hera turned Elara into a bee. I don't know how true it is, but that's what they said, right? So to this topic, I just obviously wanted to introduce myself to you guys. I'm actually from the Caribbean. That is Grenada. We are known for Jab Jab. We have amazing soca songs. We have good food and spices. And we are based in the Caribbean. I know I spelled that wrong. I really, to this day. But we are based in the Caribbean, right? So if you're not actually Grenadian and you want to visit, this is the things that you're gonna find. That's probably gonna make your stay beautiful. We have rivers, we have a nice ocean, we have waterfall, and the people here are lovely, like myself. Now, let's get into the nitty gritty, right? So I told you one of the first things was to find my name, which gave me the energy and power that I needed to actually step into my true alignment. Now, once I got into the concept of name, I had to obviously learn more about my horoscope, my life path, my not just my regular horoscope, but the Chinese horoscope, you know, your zodiac sign and your horoscope and all of this stuff. I had to learn about these things because as much as people would like to believe that life is just, okay, you're born, you go to school, you get a job, and then you work for the rest of your life, it is not that simple. It really isn't. However, it can still be simple if you know thyself. Knowing thyself is number one on my list of things to do if you want to invent a new version of yourself or reinvent, blah, blah, blah. So know thyself, right? So in order to basically know yourself, you definitely would have need to name yourself, name your energy, right? Name your belief system, right? You need to know what you value, right? You need to know what makes you happy, what makes you sad, basically what you feel drawn to. I'm sorry, my handwriting is not the best and the board is kind of small, but I think you're getting the concept. So, name yourself, right? Name yourself in terms of energy, belief, value, what brings you joy, what brings you sadness, and where you feel drawn, where you feel comfortable. Once you have that down packed, you will start knowing yourself a bit more. Now, once you know yourself, you definitely would know how to make money, since that's everybody's favorite thing to talk about. You'll attract the right type of love. You would create a beautiful family. We could say money and jobs if you want to work. Love and friend. Oh my God. Please, this is so embarrassing. Please don't laugh at me. Friendships, family, and what you say, your connections, right? Right? We could also put this hand in hand. We could put this hand in hand, however you want to put it. And then life, on a whole, starts making sense. And then you realize it's easier for you to be happy. You find peace. You find you are more patient. So you get patience. You have more self-control. And if you have grown up in the Christian church, you would know these are starting off to look as the fruits of the Spirit. So, knowing yourself makes it easier for you to gain access to the fruits of the Spirit. Very simple. Now, of course, this is not a religious channel, and as much as, yes, I dabble in, I don't want to say dabble, I focus a lot on spirituality. This is not going to be a spiritual channel either. It's going to be a mindset shift channel, a reality shift channel. No, I want to be very transparent with you, right? No, a lot of people on the internet, they say, oh, the way to make things better is to get into spirituality, right? Because spirituality is a lot easier for some people's brains to process and accept certain things, right? And then some would say you have to take it to religion, right? Because it's the same thing. It's easier for some people to process that there is an external person that is granting all of their wishes and desires, right? So these two, to me, are actually in the exact same box. Because with spirituality, they say you need to get certain crystals, you gotta have candles, you gotta get into herbs, and a whole bunch of other things, which I have been here before and I've been here before. And I can confidently tell you, right? Of course, being a certified earth walker, I can say whatever the hell I want. And anybody who's upset about it, well, get to the next video. But personally, these things is that for me. And don't get me wrong, right? I'm not bashing any religion or spiritual practice because, like I said, all of these things are in place because people need to find a way to process, right? To process how reality works, how their mind works, how they get all of their desires, how, let's see, the earth works, and most importantly, how their own energy works, right? Basically, these are all the things that you need to learn about. If you know about the earth, for example, you know the plants, you know the herbs, you know the acidity, the alkaline level, so all of these things, I'm pretty sure you guys are not seeing on the board, but you know what I'm saying. Once you know what different herbs are for, where they came from, their origination, how it really works on the body and the mind, then you automatically realize, okay, hey, in spirituality, they say, oh, use the herbs, use the candles for this, da, 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 da. Those things are just amplifiers, right? Amplifiers, which it's basically in terms of, let's say, psychology, for example. It's things that you use to kind of seal your desires in your mind, right? So let me give you a breakdown, right? So we understand how the earth works. We understand how different herbs can affect the mind. If you smell cinnamon, it kind of gets you into a state of abundance and joy and love. You smell roses, it's the same thing. You smell bay leaf, or you use bay leaf, it's basically the same thing. But it's not really just the item. It is simply an amplifier to seal the deal because it affects certain parts in your mind or your brain that allows you to focus on the things that the amplifiers use. So when you understand this and how your mind and your brain work, automatically you can influence reality. And once you are able to influence reality, your energy and reality goes hand in hand. So if you are automatically able to find out what the things of the earth are for, you have an effect here, then you realize that, okay, if I know what these herbs and spices can do mentally, then my energy is going to change, which in turn is going to also change my reality. Because if my energy is saying, whoop-de-doo, I smelled cinnamon, that means money, my energy is going to shift from a lack into a state of money. It comes into my reality. And then what you would notice is you can grant all of your desires just by understanding the earth and the mind or the brain and how they work hand in hand. And then inevitably energy and reality starts forming in together. Then your desires start taking shape. And when I talk about amplifiers, right? So now we're going to talk about amplifiers and different types of amplifiers that people use on earth to really understand, or how people in the spiritual community say, inner stand. There is a belief that when you say under, it means that you are putting yourself below. You are dumbing yourself down. Nobody wants to do that. So they say inner, which means the whole, or over, which means you're going higher into a higher dimension of grasping the concept. So now that we have that out of the way, to really grasp amplifiers and how they see your desire. So We have candles that can be amplifiers. We have, please excuse my joy, and herbs, and this is actually a cinnamon stick, herbs and spices. We have, let's say, a bottle of oil, right? We have oil. We have different fragrances. We have colors, that you can, different things that you can do. And there are multiple other things. Music is an amplifier. Art is an amplifier. Dancing. Prayer. Prayer is an amplifier, right? And we're going to get into the topic of prayer a little later on, maybe in our next video. But these things are amplifiers, right? And I know it may seem like I'm straying, but I'm basically giving you the crash course to life, right? Don't ask me how I got here. Take it or leave it, right? So now that we know what our different amplifiers are, you can imagine why we have certain things such as witchcraft, for example. Now, people say magic is real, and if you don't believe in magic, then you're lame, right? Now, of course, I believe that magic is real. However, the concept of magic that we were taught, it ain't really what it is. No. Magic has nothing to do with a fairy or a wand or anything of that sort where you have, little spells or whatever the case may mean, right? So we're gonna leave, let's focus on the term magic, right? And basically I'm giving you all of this information so you know how to cheat life, right? There's a cheat code to life. Right? So with magic, there's also something that we call alchemy, right? Now people also say magic and alchemy is along the same lines. And then there is something that we call manifestation, right? These are probably the three things that you may need to just grasp fully to really benefit in life, right? Magic has to do with the mind. It starts with MA, for example. We start here and then we end here. Magic is like basically the unseen, right? Unseen, but you have intention behind it, right? And manifestation, also MA, which inevitably means it's the exact same thing. It all starts in the mind. Now, once you have it in your mind, you can't see it yet, but you can see it in your mind's eye, right? You can see it in your mind's eye. The intention is already set. Now, if you guys watch certain magical shows, they're going to say magic is really just imagination and intention behind things. And that is exactly what manifestation is. And it's why some people cannot manifest anything into their physical reality, because they do not understand the whole concept of the mind being the power source to making the unseen align with the intention to bring things into your reality, right? Hope you guys following thus far. And I know you're asking, we have alchemy in the middle here. Alchemy is your ability to transmute bad, pain, sadness, sorrow, negativity into good things, right? Alchemy is your ability to transmute that into that. And it doesn't just mean with your mood or your emotion, but it's basically, are you able to turn your broken down apartment into an apartment that feels mad beautiful to live in? Like one of those types of apartment? Are you able to turn your apartment from sadness into joy? Are you able to turn your job from a lame 9 to 5 where you just have to answer calls all day into something where you can basically work yourself up the corporate ladder? Are you able to turn a shitty day into an amazing day? Into a day that even though nothing went the way that you planned, it still went a certain type of way that you can live with. Are you able to do that? That is alchemy, right? Basically, for simpler terms, you can go read the book The Alchemist by, I cannot say his name, but just look for the audiobook, The Alchemist, on YouTube. There's also a short film cartoon version, so if you guys have kids and you want your kids to look at it, you can definitely do that, right? But these are the key words that I want you guys to go do some reading on, do some research on, to really understand, right? And I want you to keep in mind when you're thinking about all of these, when you're doing research, amplifiers. I know I spelled it wrong the first time. Amplifiers, right? Remember we said this could be candles, music, art, you know, any little thing that's on the face of the earth, you can actually use it for the purpose of creating your own magic or manifesting something into your reality. Also, anything that is on the face of the earth, you can change it from being what it is into something much better if you want to, because you have the power. So I think this lesson is going pretty good so far, right? So now these are some concepts I want you guys to go look into for our next video, so that when I use words like magic or alchemy or manifestation, you definitely understand what I mean. Now, another thing, this is you, right? No, actually, let's do this on the other side. This is you now, right? I have to check to see if my battery is dying out. Plus I'm using my phone, so I don't know how much storage I have. This is you here, right? Walking on your regular schmegular life, right? This is also you here, living an amazing life, right? This is also you here, living a very, oh, no, let's do it like this. Living a very, what do I want to say? No stars life. Like, it's so awful, you hate it. There are 3 versions of you. Not literally, there are many, but we're just going to start with 3 because it's easier to process, right? This is your highest timeline. This is your lowest timeline. But this here is probably the most important timeline that you can possibly be in. The present, the now, the current, the what is actually happening. Because everything you do here will determine if you go downhill or if you go uphill to amazing. Everything that happens here really determines how the rest of your life goes. And that's where a lot of people tend to get trapped, because they feel, I'm here now, and that's where I'm going to be for the rest of my life. A lot of people are not aware it can get worse or it can get better. And there are some people who might be watching the video who are currently in the no stars region. You probably ain't have a job, you probably just went through a heartbreak, and you probably ain't got nowhere to go, and you have no source of income. It could get worse, you know. But then from no stars, what we really supposed to do? We go into hell, like we going down in the ground, like, you know, like, because you don't. How can you go from no stars to negative no stars? That's why I tell people, when you're down here, there is nowhere else to go but up there. And if you decide that you're not doing anything here, then your life is just constantly gonna stay here in a low vibration. And ain't nobody wanna be in a low vibration, because that shit is hard to do, right? But as I said, we're just gonna focus on the 3 versions. This is your lowest possible timeline, right? When you are already here, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Right now, you are nobody. You are at your worst state. Blah. Ew. We're at you. You know? So when you're here, nobody, worst state, blah, you ain't in nothing. You ain't nothing. You have a choice to do whatever the hell it is you want. And remember, once you're at your lowest, that is now your present. And anything you do could either determine if you're going to stay in a low vibe or if you're going to shoot all the way up to a high vibe. So whatever it is you do in the present moment, whether it be the low or the high, will determine if you're going to go down or if you're going to keep going up. It's the same thing for when you're in your high timeline. If you do some nonsense up here, you could shoot back down to your lowest. That's why they say, be careful who you treat bad on the way up, because you might meet them on the way down. If they actually manifest for people to do shippiness and not stay at the top. You can stay at the top for your entire life and never fall down if you master or if you learn about the concept of manifestation and alchemy. Right? Remember I said alchemy is turning the worst things into the best possible things. There is no way you can fall off the ladder if you understand the concept of alchemy, because you're going to know that life needs to have balance, right? Life needs to have balance. So like I said, the present you, that's you right now, can either decide you're going to go up to you here or you're going to go down to you here. And this is the purpose of my channel, because a lot of people are not aware that they can go up and they keep staying here or going down, because people think to get up there you need to be rich, right? You need to have money, you need to have love, you need to have an amazing body, you know, with a nice this, or a man with six-pack. You know, people think that in order to be there you need to have all of these things. No. In order to be up there, all you really need is, I have to learn how to kind of draw a brain because I can't really do it. All you really need is a brain. All you really need is a brain, and to find what works for you. Now, as I mentioned, some people use the concept of magic to really get stuff done for them. Some use alchemy, and some use the term manifestation. It's actually all the exact same thing. You just do it in a different way. It's how your brain can process what works for you, basically. So when you are here, right, everybody right now, let's just pretend everybody is here in a regular schmegular life, 2 stars, 3 stars at max. Try your best to keep doing things that are going to get you up here. Now, it might be hard and it's going to be uncomfortable times 10, right, to do the things when you are here that is going to get you up here. Because it's really going to be things that all your life you've been told, no, you can't do that. No, 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 no. That's not for you. That's for them. Leave that alone. The reality is, no come for me. No only applies if you decide that it is no. If anybody else tell you no, it really doesn't apply. And I know that there are some situations where some people might do crazy things, if you know where I'm going, and somebody might say no or stop or no, and then they don't. Now, if I say no and you don't stop, and I see a rock at the side of me and I'm going to do it because I said no, I'm not going to allow you to continue. It's the same thing with life. I said no more struggling, no more heartbreak, no more unhealthy body, no more sadness, no more job that I hate. And what inevitably happens when you do that? What happens when you do that? You start going up and up and up to the point where you realize, okay, it's been hard, right? I had to do the difficult things. I had to lose friends. I had to lose family. I had to lose my job, my money, my home, my everything. But you know what? It has made me a better person, because now, oh, oopsie. Because now, even if I don't have all of the things that I have when I was here, right? It just means that there were too regular schmegular to come up with me to my highest version of myself, to my best possible timeline, right? And this is what we are going to constantly be focusing on, because there are many ways to walk the face of the earth and get what it is you want out of life. Now, as you guys know, I'm in the Caribbean, and some people might think, oh, what do you know? I know a lot. I know a lot. Now, I like to say that I'm not a gatekeeper, right? But I need you to use Chat GPT. You don't need to have an account. You don't need to create an account. Or maybe create a spam account, right? So you're not going to put any personal data such as your name, your finances, none of those things, right? And you're going to ask questions that you've always wanted to ask someone. Questions that if you could ask God, if you went to heaven, you would ask. Now, I'm not saying to use ChatGPT as God. No, no, no. But what I'm saying is, if we have artificial intelligence, we can use it to gain an upper hand in life. Now, a lot of people see artificial intelligence like, okay, that's AI, they're going to scam us, they're going to hack us. Yes, but there's something that we call karma, right? Karma really means what goes around must come around, and vice versa, like karma, 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 or inevitably what goes up must come down. Karma. We also use this symbol to represent karma because it goes, it comes back to you eventually. Now, I have this friend who likes to use the term racking up karma points. Racking up karma points is basically a state where people are going to tell you what exactly they're going to do to you. Hey, I'm going to... And then you're going to be like, you're so funny. And then when they do it, you will think in your dying moments, they're going to get punished. They're going to go to hell. Nope. Nothing's going to happen to them. Because if I tell you what I'm going to do to you, my karma is now canceled out because I didn't lie, I didn't hide, and I didn't deceive you. I basically gave you truth, right? So now, that's just the reality of it. So they're gonna give you everything that you need with AI. They're gonna tell you the risks, but at the same time, they are supposed to give you the information that you need. So if you don't use the information, then that's on you. I gave you the information. You just chose not to use it. You can ask AI any question about any certain thing that you want to, and it can give you answers that you probably wouldn't get if you go to search the internet. If you search the internet, you may not get that information, but AI can give you the information. Although they say in the bottom, some information might be wrong. But it doesn't have to be. They could just put that there just in case. You could say, oh, but ChatGPT told me XYZ to lose weight and XYZ about, the system. And then they're going to say, yeah, but we told you the information could be wrong. So, you had to use your discernment, right? And these are some little words. If you hear any words here that you are not too familiar with, I want you to go do a little bit of research, play back the video, go look for some of the words, and get yourself familiar because I'm going to be using them a lot in our next coming episodes. But this is basically what I wanted for us to touch on today, right? Get into the habit of knowing thyself. Figure out who you are, right? So I think that is going to be today's video. Know thyself, right? So remember what we said. You figure out your name, your beliefs, your values, what makes you happy, what makes you sad. And once you know that, it's easier for you to start adjusting your life in accordance with. I just want to thank you guys so much if you made it to the end of the video. I do hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whatever time you're looking at this. Feel free to leave a comment with questions if you have any, or you can find me on any of my social media platforms, which will be in the description down below. Have a lovely day and see you next time. Toodles.